They try to make me go to conversion camp, and I said no, no, no. They said you can't be gay in this town, and I said I'm a homo. Also, we have another one today. Should I save the other one? Fuck it. Let's just see which one sounds better.
Oh, yeah.
Suck off a guy. Ba, ba, ba. Gay times never felt so good.
What was the one we were just doing? Oh. 'Cause after all, you know that I bust.
I busted in your ass. And after all, your balls were in my mouth.
Welcome to the Riff Ranch, everybody.
Yeah. Welcome to the Riff Ranch. And other news today, we would like to say that the BME Pan Olympics is not a proud sponsor of this podcast. It has nothing to
Nobody's
do with this
gonna get
podcast.
that. Only the Patreons are gonna get that.
It has nothing to do with the podcast.
Hopefully, this will be the first episode that we're recording on video, you guys. Yeah.
This should, hopefully will be our first YouTube video, which would be fucking awesome.
I'm wanting to do all of the previous episodes because I know there's quite a few of you that haven't been able to listen to the podcast because you're waiting for it to go up on YouTube for some reason.
But,
so
I mean, I get it, but come on, man. You can download Spotify, motherfucker.
You can.
It's free.
Yeah, it's free. It's free to listen to us on Spotify. It's not charging you nothing. But anyway, no, I'm gonna try and get like just some still photos, like the whole video. Fucking, you can listen to it on YouTube. That'll be nice for you guys. And this will be the first video that's actually up on YouTube. So that'll be great.
Which, I mean, fuck. I mean, you know, for two guys who don't know what the fuck we're doing.
I think we have a nice little setup.
Yeah. I mean, like, look at this shit right now.
Look at this. Like, it's fucking. It looks official now. We got the arm and the mics working. We got the computer
fucking
going.
Individual ring lights per person.
We're recording off of our own individual things. Fucking, we got the camera.
Have a fucking laptop or something. Hopefully,
you guys can't see it, but we have this massive fucking light that's just beaming the light of God in our face.
Yeah. Fuck, dude, they might be able to see it off my glasses.
But welcome to episode 16 of the Riff Ranch.
That's been a long.
I've been trying to conscientiously do that. Is like whenever I say welcome to the Riff Ranch, I want to be like welcome to episode.
Specify what's going on.
Yeah.
Where we at and how we doing. It is what's today. Today's November 20th.
20th, I think.
Yeah, November 20th.
20th, yeah. And November 20th.
Yeah, 2023. Yeah, we've been
Yeah. And we bust.
And we bust.
We're going to talk about some analog horror today.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want me to start off with my thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. I'm going to have to look here at my notes for most of this, really. So I kind of fell down a rabbit hole today, really. I'm going to try and...
Sorry, I didn't even think about it. Don't fucking hate me.
You're good. I'm going to try and stare at the camera. I'm going to try and remember to stare at the camera. For a lot of this, I think I'm going to be staring at you. Shut up, Siri. God damn it.
You know, that is a thing that we should probably try to keep up with, is to actually look at the camera, you think?
Yeah, I'm going to try and look at the camera more. I know I'm bad about doing that. I'm going to look at you a lot. But I'm
trying to find my comfortable area with
it feels weird to me to look at the camera and talk to you. You know?
Yeah, like...
I don't know. But I'm going to try and look at my notes right here. So today at work, I didn't have a lot going on, and I kind of fell down a rabbit hole of listening to this whole thing about Local 58. What was that?
Somebody Snapchatted me.
Oh, okay. And I'm going to make sure this thing's recording real quick, and then I'll go into my whole thing. Okay, yeah, it's still recording. So I fell down this rabbit hole. Listening to the Local 58. And it's like this crazy, if y'all don't listen to analog horror, the best way I can explain it to you, it's like, I don't know, this is like a weird analog horror, but also ARG, like altered reality game.
Yeah,
where like
that's something that we should specify too, like the ARGs, it's analog, but it is like a whole different part in the analog. It's way more interactive. It's not just like you have to go through plugs and stuff.
It's a very interactive thing where like this whole storyline. So this is a fake storyline, by the way. It's not everything I'm going to be talking about for this whole thing isn't real.
God, I'd fucking hope so.
Well, my mom didn't understand that when I was like trying to explain it to her earlier. She was like, "This is a real thing."
Yeah,
I was no.
she's like, Bailey, you're on that. Hey, Kyle, you're on that Bailey bullshit. Okay,
Yeah.
This isn't fucking real. You're exaggerating for the bit.
No, yeah, none of this is real, Mom. This time the story isn't real. But anyway,
I keep moving my mic. I'm sorry if that's going to be a bitch to edit. I just want to get a cool little shot. Like, you're cozy.
Yeah, no, you're good. It's kosher, bro.
Koshi Woshi, as they say in Mario.
So, Local 58 is kind of like, it appears like, because obviously it's fake, but like it appears like it is a local access channel, basically. Like it's almost like the news, you know, like your local fucking news and shit. And it's like a broadcasting station, basically, is what it appears as in this world of the fucking videos.
Like with the whole deal, you remember the incident where the I think it was Local 58 or whatever. Oh no, that's what this is called. But
that's this.
Yeah. But no, where the dude hacks into the news feed or whatever, and just as the dude with the mask and sunglasses. Yeah, that it's like
it's very similar to that. Yeah, that's a good example. That was during an episode of Doctor Who, apparently.
Oh yeah, which is nuts
for you guys. Open that right into the mic. Cheers.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We're drinking vodka sodas.
Here's to the troops, both sides.
This is actually a decent vodka soda drink, honestly.
Yeah, after a couple of them, it ain't that bad.
I didn't think I've had some shitty vodka sodas in a can, and it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's real peachy.
Yeah.
RIFF RANCH, sponsored by...
Jesus Christ. We're gonna have to do this every time we start recording.
Yeah, dude. I
gotta tell you to cut that.
But that's the thing.
But so the videos are meant to play like someone from the Local 58 broadcast station knows something that's going on, or at least that's kind of the impression that I got from it. And they're like leaking information to the public. Or some of the like videos and theories that I've seen on it are like it's possible that whatever's doing this wants these things to be leaked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm gonna kind of go over the broad strokes of it. I'm not gonna like recap every single thing, or like I just want to go over the broad strokes and kind of what I think about the whole thing, really. So episode 1 is You Are on the Fastest Route is the name of episode 1. And it starts off as like dash cam footage. It's like somebody has like the camera on their dashboard or whatever. And they're driving in a storm. And the GPS starts acting weird. So it starts acting weird, and it starts taking him down like a dirt road. And it's like really weird at first, but like, you know, sometimes it's like, you know, GPS is taking you down a dirt road or whatever. Maybe it's not that weird. And then it's like, now turn off your headlights or something crazy like that. And it starts saying weird shit like that, like turn off your headlights, and it starts saying like, I don't know, weird shit. And then there's like a flash of light, and then like the camera gets thrown or something, and there's like a crack in the camera, and you see the guy that was driving like start taking off, and he's running from something. And then that's kind of the whole first video. And all of these videos aren't told. I just spit a bunch right there. All of these videos aren't told in order. They're kind of told out of the order. So I think that the first video that's posted is actually like one of the most recent videos in the whole timeline of this thing.
Now that the more you describe it to me, I know it.
You know
I've listened to the whole thing, to like the whole explanation, connecting all this stuff, and it's still actively going on. Like,
yeah, it's still.
But I believe if I'm not mixing up that one and the Mandela thing.
They're very similar, I believe, from what I've heard about the other.
Similar.
So there's a whole thing with the videos. There's like an ARG where like there's a website for this whole thing, but when you try to go to the website, it appears as if the website doesn't work, and there's a way to get the website to work. Basically, that's like a part of the whole ARG thing. And then there's also a phone number for this whole thing that you can call, and like that whole thing, and it's all like very interactive, and like the community of people that watch this can. But you wouldn't get the whole story if you just watch the videos. Like, you kind of have to play the ARG to understand the whole story, and like I don't have time to do all of that, But like, there's like a whole Reddit thread, and you can watch videos about it on YouTube, kind of explaining everything that's been going on with the whole storyline, which is kind of what I spent the day doing, and it's really, really interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
So the second episode, I was gonna go over like the broader strokes of most of the episodes that I thought were interesting and kind of fit into like my whole theory of this thing, I guess. But the second episode is called Contingency. And this episode takes place somewhere in like the 1960s, I guess. And it's supposed to be like a 1960s broadcast saying America has been invaded by a foreign nation. And it tells people they need to do their patriotic due diligence. Where was it? It says they need to do their patriotic due diligence and begins giving instructions on different ways to kill themselves, basically. Like, it's a crazy part, and it's very eerie. Like, it's a very eerie podcast, and like the whole thing about it is that it's not like it's an analog horror, but it's not really like a horror, and it's not really gory and stuff like that. Everything that happens in these videos is to like unsettle you. Like, it gives you a very unsettling feeling listening and watching to all of these. And then it goes on to say something like, we will obtain victory by not letting the enemy win. Like, going into more detail about people killing themselves. Like, the enemy will not win if you kill yourself, basically.
I definitely remember this one.
And if you're not willing to carry out the patriotic service, then law enforcement will do it for you, is what it says in the video. Which is like, I don't know, like when it said that, when I was like watching the video or whatever, that like gave me goosebumps. I was like, that's fucking, that's a wild thing to say. And then there's like a pause in the video, and a government warning comes on saying the previous broadcast that you've heard was a hoax. But the implication of the end of the video is that like this second broadcast kind of came out too late, and people had already started killing themselves because they heard the first broadcast.
And like in droves, like people are like just mass.
It kind of gives that whole it's all implied, but it kind of gives that implication of like it's already begun because the first broadcast happened. And then the third episode is Weather Service, and this one was really interesting to me. It starts off like a regular weather alert, really, and it looks legit at first. Like it's like the whole burr, you know how like the weather alerts begin and shit. And it says that there is a meteorological event happening, like a meteor shower or like an eclipse. Like there's some kind of like meteorological event going on.
It's like,
and
I believe it's like, it looks like something going over the moon or some shit like that, right?
It doesn't say specific. So like it just says, the video just says a meteorological event. It doesn't exactly say what it is in the whole thing. But the whole the whole public service announcement is just kind of like that. It's just a it does show it in the end, and it is like a thing going over the moon, but it doesn't show it when like a part of the alert part is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then so it basically says it's unsafe to go outside at this time. Then it like cuts off in the middle of like the alert or whatever, and it corrects the previous alert, basically saying that this event is indeed safe and everyone should step outside and look at the sky and check out what's going on, basically. It's like a whole thing basically saying it's okay to go outside. You can go check out this meteorological event and like all this different shit.
The more you talk about it, the more stuff comes back to me. But I couldn't tell you how it ends. I do remember listening to it.
So I actually didn't finish it. I didn't want to get too into it and then finish it on the podcast. I kind of wanted to like leave it at like a bit of a cliffhanger, and then maybe it would get people into it, and maybe they'd go check it out or whatever.
Yeah.
But that'd be cool if you guys want to go check this out. I'm kind of in the middle of watching all of the videos currently. I've only watched like 7 of them, I think. But so then the broadcast kind of goes back and forth and says like it is safe to go outside, it's not safe to go outside, and like the broadcast keeps cutting between the two broadcasts on like whether or not it is safe to go outside, and then the video ends with a shot of the moon. Like it starts like leaning towards the moon, coming into frame, and you just hear people screaming in the background. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't safe to go outside. That's what I remember. It's like there's like the shot of the moon or whatever. Yeah, and you just hear people screaming, and the people that like have gone outside basically.
So side note, so you're like listening to this episode per episode, like on the actual channel itself.
So I wasn't. I was listening to a podcast, and the podcast kind of broke down like a little bit of a summary of each one, and then I watched them after I listened to the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've only watched a few of them.
I thought you were going into this like raw dog and analyzing and theorizing the whole thing yourself. I was like, damn, son, we're finna be the next Wendigoons.
We're finna be the next Wendigoons. No, I did have some theories and like my own analysis and shit, and I think that it might be wrong. I think some of the shit that I've thought of might be wrong, but I think it is still something interesting that I was kind of writing down my theories as I was like coming up with them and listening to all this shit. So like I already know that some of this shit is wrong. Kind of like spoilers for what the fuck's going on in these videos, but it's not aliens. Like a big theory of like the podcast that I was listening to, that like the broadcast is getting sent out to aliens, and then aliens are kind of responding with their own broadcast.
I think it's demons.
You think it's demons?
Demons are other humans.
So I have more theories on this in a second, but I do want to kind of get through some of the episodes. I wanted to get through episode 5 and 6 because they were kind of relevant to stuff that I wanted to talk about. So episode 5 is called A Show for Kids. This one starts off with like a cartoon skeleton walking through a graveyard at night, and the skeleton gets in his coffin to go to sleep. And he's laying there watching the sky when the moon passes like right over him, and then he dies in his grave. And that's pretty much the whole episode 5. So like clearly like there's this thing going on, there's something going on with the moon and like the whole fucking...
Bro, it kills dead people?
Huh?
Like it's like...
Well, I don't know that it like necessarily is saying that it kills dead people, but it's supposed to be a show for kids.
Yeah.
And like I don't know what it's supposed to be, but like, or maybe it was like a warning, like maybe this is something that the government was like putting out, because like I think some of the broadcasts are supposed to be the government and some of the broadcasts are supposed to be someone or something else.
Yeah.
But then there's episode 6 called A Look Back, and it's kind of like a recap of previous broadcasts from like Local 58, and just like I don't remember if it's like I don't remember if it's a recap of all the episodes that have happened already, or if it's a recap of like the in-universe channel itself.
Yeah.
I want to say it was more of a recap of the in-universe channel itself, and kind of just like something like that. But then anyway, then it cuts off. That's not the important part of that at all. It cuts off and says, we send signals to ourselves through their domain. Did we really believe they wouldn't add their own signals? And then it like kind of cuts at that. And then so I have a little note in here that says stop after episode 6 to talk about some shit. Fucking, but yeah, I did want to talk about that. So the podcast that I was listening to, they were basically saying, I believe aliens are receiving our radio frequencies, or like this is what's supposed to be happening in the story anyway. They believe that aliens are supposed to be receiving our radio frequencies and tampering with it, and then sending them back to us, and that's kind of what's going on in the whole thing. And then someone from the Local 58 broadcast station clearly knows what's going on here, and that's kind of the other person that's kind of like giving the mixed signals. That's why there's like 2 different broadcasts going on or whatever. And they're putting their own like radio signals out and fucking da-da-da.
That'd be crazy though. You're just watching TV and it says, "Fucking kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself.
Do not kill yourself."
Yeah. He's like, "Don't do it. We were just kidding.
Yeah, we were just. That was a little jokey joke.
It was a joke that we did and not aliens.
Yeah, and that's why like the people don't know who to listen to, is because there's these 2 contradicting ideas. And then I also got a little note in here from the podcast.
If you had the choice, you heard both those. Oh, excuse me. If you heard both of those scenarios. Like you're sitting there, you're watching, you're like, what the fuck is this? I'm not gonna fucking unalive myself.
Yeah, no.
And we're gonna have to take out every time I said I kill myself. This is going on YouTube. It's all about unalive an essay.
Oh yeah, I did say, and I started this whole thing by saying in episode 2 they say kill yourself. We say kill yourself quite a bit in here, I think, but like it's okay. It was like 10 minutes into the podcast already, so I think we'll be okay.
But But
If you were go ahead and talk. I'm gonna make sure it's still recording.
If you were to see the two, and I would think my first thought would be like, what? I'm not killing myself. I'm not gonna unalive myself. And then the next one comes on, and I'm like, yeah, no, I know somebody's just trolling. I would think somebody's just trolling the station. But I mean, now it's not as easy to do something like that, right?
It stopped recording at some point, but
it did.
I hope we got that whole story that I just said.
Fuck.
It's okay. But no, we're good. Anyway, fucking. The YouTube is gonna get a really weird version of this.
Oh yeah.
Fucking several recordings spliced together. No, yeah, I think I would be like, I'm not gonna fucking unalive myself. What do I look like? A fucking retard? Like, come on now.
A fucking rigatoni, bro. Do I look
I look like a fucking rigatoni to you?
Do I look like a fucking rigatoni?
You look like a piece of stromboli. Come on now.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I was telling Bella about that yesterday. I was like, in one of the episodes that's coming out here soon, I was like, I called Bailey a piece of stromboli, and he laughed so fucking hard at it. And she was laughing. We were at Costco, and she's like laughing in the middle of Costco because I told her that I called you a piece of stromboli. I was like, Bailey said that he can't wait. He's gonna call somebody a piece of stromboli one day.
You fucking piece of fucking.
You
fucking stromboli.
You greasy piece of stromboli.
Oh,
you ever had a stromboli? It's like the greasiest fucking.
Yeah, it's so good though. Because
it's so good.
Much fucking. It's got ham, salami, gabagool.
Fucking. It's all the cheese. It's got so much fucking cheese in it. Cheese. Yeah, and they put olive oil in it, and fucking they put all sorts of shit in it. It's great. It's good though.
I like an calzone though.
I do too.
I get extra ricotta in my shit. My stromboli, any of that stuff.
That's not like.
Anyway, Line Cooks was last week.
Line Cooks was last week. I think we should do another one of those though. I think I had some more stories to talk about Line Cooks, but anyway.
I just want to talk about food. I'm hungry as hell.
So the notes that I have in here from the podcast I was listening to today, it was saying aliens are possibly trying to get people to go outside and look at the moon in order to kill them, or kill off the population, or drive them mad, because we didn't necessarily see people dying in the one where like people went outside and looked at the moon. We just heard them screaming in the background. But it could also be like a Bird Box situation where like maybe it drives them mad and they start killing themselves or something.
Like an entity.
But
instead of an alien, I think it'd be a demon.
But the podcast I was listening to was saying, since some people listen to the broadcast that says go outside and other people listen to the broadcast saying stay inside, it looks like the aliens are trying to make the human population turn on each other now, because like they couldn't get them to go outside and basically kill them with the moon or whatever the fuck they were using to kill them or drive them insane. So then that's kind of what that leads like right into episode 7, which is called Real Sleep. And this one has like a lot to do with like, this is probably the most like, it's the weirdest and most psychological episode I've seen out of them so far. And it's like, I don't know, it definitely gives me the impression that like, I know it's not aliens because the whole thing is like the creator of all of this said that it's not aliens. Mm-hmm. So he kind of debunked the whole theory of the podcast that I was listening to. But even if it's not aliens, whatever it is, I think that like what episode 7 is about is like trying to get humans to turn on each other, basically.
It sounds like some rap short.
Yeah, it does like, kind of sound like some rap shit.
Especially with that cartoon of like it's like, but instead of it being like
the undead,
into heaven,
the skeleton
like,
dying,
and like that makes sense. Like you send your
you look at the sky
up,
and like
and then like you look at the sky and you see this thing and it fucking you're just dead.
That's actually a really good guess. I didn't think about some
it's
rapture
like some
shit
type
like
of
that.
Like some type of maybe like a rapture situation, but instead of like. It's almost like a swapped version of that religious aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's like kind of a demented version of it in a way.
Like.
But then that doesn't really explain the episode 2 broadcast where it's like saying that another nation is invaded. Like that almost seems like mischievous, like someone's trying to deceive you.
Yeah.
In a way. So like I don't know that doesn't feel very rapture to me. I guess I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying what we think is like the good guys is the bad guys and the bad guys is the good guys. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. So episode 7, Real Sleep. This podcast begins by saying, well, first off, it says it's from like 1983, and at first it seems like instructions on like, it seems like an instruction video to help people go to sleep. Like it's supposed to help people get a good night's sleep. But out of nowhere, it kind of just takes like, it takes a turn and like starts giving off like a lot of subliminal messages, trying to disassociate people, and it almost seems like it's trying to brainwash the listener, and it's trying to get rid of any facial recognition the person has. Like that's a big thing in the episode, is it's like trying to get rid of your process to like facially recognize, which I think is a huge part of like the whole trying to get people to turn on each other, because if you can't facially recognize the people you're looking at, it's like yeah. But then fucking as the messages get less and less subliminal, because like as the episode 7 goes on, like the subliminal messages just kind of stop being subliminal the more it goes on, and like it becomes less and less subliminal, and the broadcast is trying to like invoke violence. It almost seems like it's trying to like aggravate people and like get them to fight each other kind of thing.
Yeah, splitting the population up and everything.
Yeah, and it's like trying to start mass hysteria almost is like what it seems like. And it eventually straight up it tries to get people to stop sleeping by saying things like sleep is not civilized and the pure of mind do not slumber. It starts saying like things like that, and it's like almost trying to get people to not sleep, and like that was part of like the whole mass hysteria thing that I think it's starting to do.
You know, there's a movie that's just like this. Sorry to cut you off. But there's a movie that's just like this. It's I couldn't tell you the name of it.
Does it have Nicolas Cage in it?
No. But the concept seems like it would have it. But anyway, it's like there's like a dysfunctional family in a house, and something about there's they're warning everyone to stay in their house because there's a big storm coming by.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's like this, almost like, Matrixy, like these chords. It almost looks like these chords, like just all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Tethers of it, and it's like connects to the TV, and the TV gives commands, and the family is like being split apart. It's like the same shit. And like at one point, like the father,
but the same kind of like messages.
That, like, it's the government that's doing, and he's telling them, and the government is like, we know that your wife is a spy. You must kill your wife or whatever the fuck. So he tries to kill his wife. All this kind of shit. Like,
that's crazy.
It's the very similar concept, just not as deep. And then I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like some cybernetic alien-esque.
So
something.
that was all I had in my notes about the episodes, because that's as far as I've really watched the episodes. And the creator of it obviously said it's not aliens. So, because like that was kind of the biggest theory on the internet, is that like this is like the signals are getting sent out, and they're coming. The aliens are sending them back, and they're all warped and shit, and they're trying to kill off the human population for some reason. So my two theories, I have two different theories about this, and I don't know if either one of them are going to be right. But my first theory was that a lot of the videos from this series take place during the Cold War. It's like the 1960s through 80s kind of shit. And I think
like the Red Scare and all that kind of shit.
I think that I was thinking it was like Russian propaganda, basically. Like the Russians are sending these signals to us, trying to get us to kill ourselves, basically, so that they can come in and invade type shit. That's what I was thinking.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that was my first thought when I was listening to all this. Before like the podcast I was listening to, before they even started explaining that they thought it was aliens, my first thought was like, oh, like Russians, maybe. Like, fucking, I don't know.
Some type of something like that.
It made a lot of sense. But then there's a lot of weird imagery in the videos. So, like, the more I got into the videos and the more I learned about them and shit, and especially after, I did start to think it was aliens after watching them and, like, listening.
Nazi stuff that the fucking Russians kept after World War II.
Yeah, some shit like that. That's kind of what I was thinking, somewhere along that lines. But the more I got into it and the more I learned about it, the more I thought it was aliens. But then I watched the whole video saying the creator said it's not aliens. And I was thinking, like, it's got to be like a cosmic horror or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like some kind of cosmic horror that's tied to the moon in some way or something like that is where my mind went.
Yeah,
and I was like, some kind of like Cthulhu-esque being.
Yeah, they call that Lovecraftian.
The Lovecraftian type shit. Yeah.
Like in some instance or form. There's also the one of the ones I wanted to talk about.
Did you know? I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with this analog horror that I wanted to talk about.
Why are you talking about that? I'm gonna Google this.
Did you know that H.P. Lovecraft did not invent Cthulhu?
Really?
Yeah, I think it says it in the book. That me and Bella have the whole Lovecraftian, like the book of all the Lovecraft stories, right?
Yeah.
And I think it says it in the book, but I can't. If it doesn't, then maybe it was a video that I watched it in. But I was reading a thing basically saying Lovecraft didn't come up with Cthulhu. He basically had a professor in college, and his professor like went fucking crazy and killed himself. And Lovecraft was going through like all of his professor's old notes and journals and shit, and the Call of Cthulhu was something that was in one of his professor's journals. Isn't that fucking wild? Lovecraft got the whole story from Call of Cthulhu from his
almost his entire franchise.
Yeah, like the basis, the most popular character that H.P. Lovecraft is known for, he got from his professor. It was a story that his professor wrote right before he went crazy and killed himself.
That is scary.
That is kind of wild, isn't it?
But if you think about it, as I think that some ethereal-esque like cosmic horror shit is.
That's one of the scariest fucking things to me. Just how empty and like the blackness of space. The thought that there could be
anything.
Yeah.
You never know.
We're about halfway through the podcast. You had one that you wanted to talk about, and then I hope we have time for some real shit. I want to talk about some Reddit shit. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna double check this again.
Woodlands National Park. All right, that one is really cool. So it's not like interactive or nothing. We can do multiple of these and talk about different ones because I'll sit there and listen to this shit all day at work tomorrow, really. But the Woodlands National Park, it's basically like the thing, like a bunch of training videos. Old school VHS training videos for this Woodland National Park, right? And it starts off well enough, but it starts to get into like if you hear somebody screaming for help, don't go after them because it's not a person.
We need a third person to watch the camera for us. Yeah. I know
we need a tech guy.
We need a tech guy to fucking do this for us. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Woodland National Park.
Yeah, Woodland National Park.
That's a thing you've talked about. Not Woodland National Park, but like national parks and like the stairs on them and shit. That's like a thing you've talked about on the podcast before.
That's some shit, and I swear to God, dude, I've seen some shit like that.
And you were telling me, I didn't realize when you were telling me on the podcast. I realized later when I was listening to the episode, you were saying it wasn't a creepypasta or anything. Like that's just like a folklore or whatever.
Yeah,
I
guess they, like me, as much as I've looked into it, like, there's, like, urban legends of shit like that span for, generations and generations.
It's like just stairs at a national park that no one can explain.
You find a fucking church in the middle of the woods, don't go into it. You know what I'm saying? Some shit like that. Or, like, that's got some, I don't know. Like
anyway, I'm sorry. I got so off topic. Woodland National Park?
Oh,
right?
Yeah. So basically, it's just like a training video for these park rangers at this national park.
I think I've seen this.
And like there's like even a video of this one. It's like a dude walking around like this, and he's like, "Help, help!" And he's just like and it's a fake person. So it's basically
a fake
these
person?
aliens, right?
Oh,
it's basically these aliens that are like, but they're not aliens. Like they're from here, but they're not from here. It's like they're like some type of interdimensional something, I believe. I mean, that's my theory anyway with it. But like, and it's a similar thing. Like you look up in the sky and there's this giant red, almost like a red moon.
Yeah.
And it's not the moon. It's like this giant Cthulhu-esque creature that's like trying to consume the actual planet itself and like all that kind of stuff. But that one's really cool. I like that one a lot. But
that is cool.
There's like the Mandela effect too, which you said you've heard of, right?
Yeah.
Which is like about.
Well, the Mandela effect is when you think something happened that it didn't happen, but it's like the Mandela. What is it called?
The Mandela fucking.
It's an analog horror though. Yeah, I have heard of it.
Mandia. Fucking, I'm just gonna go on Wendigoon. Shouts out to Wendigoon because Wendigoon. This is how I
Wendigoon sounds like a slur.
Yeah, it does. Doesn't it?
You know a Wendigo. I just recently found out. Like, I thought a Wendigo was like a creature, like a skinwalker or a rake or whatever. You know that a Wendigo is basically like a possessed person. Like that's
a Wendigo is created from like the story goes is when you consume the flesh of another person.
I was watching a video on which I guess I mostly know Wendigos from like that game Until Dawn. It's like all about Wendigos and shit, and like people have to die in order to become Wendigos in that game or whatever. But I just watched a whole video on possession recently, and it was talking about how like Wendigos is like the most well-known North American folktale of possession or whatever, and it was talking about how like that's basically what a Wendigo is. It's a possessed person, which is I don't know crazy because I thought it was like a fucking monster.
Yeah, this giant beast thing.
Yeah,
I always thought of it as like when you're lost in the woods, you start going crazy and you're going to eat a person. Yeah, you're stuck with that forever, and you just like basically go feral, like a feral human that it ends up being.
Yeah.
But that's still nuts. My dad sent me an iMovie. So it's called the Mandela Catalog.
Yes. My stepbrother was telling me about this one today. I've seen some of it, I believe.
Really good, and it's still ongoing. I think it's on like the third season, third or fourth. But
a lot of these analog horrors are going to be ongoing, so if you guys are interested in anything we're talking about, go check them out.
Yeah, go check them out. And if I wish I could tell you the names of the channels, but I don't know all the names of the channels. So if you want to just go check out Wendigoon himself, that guy has got all the deets and all this shit. He's really like I enjoy listening to him talk about this.
I'm gonna try and keep.
I would not have found out.
I'm gonna try and put some links to some of the stuff we're talking about. I'll try and remember to put some links of some of the stuff we're talking about into the description below this episode of the podcast.
Yeah, should be like analog. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how the hashtags really work like that, but the Mandela Catalog's really good. But honestly, I think my favorite is the Monument Mythos. The Monument Mythos?
Yeah. What's that one?
I wish I had gone through and watched the episodes themselves, or like
We can if you want to look back into them or something, we can bring it up on another episode maybe or something. Yeah.
But like I said, listening to Wendigoon, this is what I go off of. But I've listened to his retrospective on like the first part, and then like every time it continues, he just adds more to the video.
Yeah.
And like sometimes he'll go in and be like, all right, so I was wrong about this, and da da da. So he'll like go back. I've listened to all those.
Oh, so he like makes theories, but then he'll talk about his previous theories being wrong and like then what he thinks.
He'll where you think it's the end, he'll like add on to his.
Okay.
But anyway, he so it's.
Come in.
Oh,
Oh, you got some goodies for us?
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh. Thank you, Bells.
Yeah, I thought she was making cookie earlier. What is that?
That is a pecan Danish. Pecan Danish.
Word.
Yeah. I was actually wanting to try one of those out. Fucking those things look badass.
But so essentially, it's an alternate universe connected with ours through these like trees. They aren't really trees; they're like living beings, but Mm.
Is that charged?
Oh yeah, it's on like 67.
Okay. That's kick-ass though.
But fuck. But it's, you'll notice like there's different events that are like drastically different than ours. Like,
Yeah, that's
when
how.
Rockefeller was the president for a short time instead of him being an oil tycoon.
Yeah.
And they talk about Rockefeller found one of these trees and he wanted one, so he cut it down and he brought it to Rockefeller Center. And this little girl, this is just like a story within the thing.
Yeah.
She goes to put, I believe she goes to put the star on top of the tree because it was supposed to be Christmas time or whatever. And she gets sent to a parallel universe between universes, and like ends up seeing her child that she had to, a child that was born out of the thing. What, did you hear it turn off?
I heard it.
You flip it sideways, girl.
Change the battery. We got 40 minutes of it.
Yeah, we did. And some snacks. But,
They got, well, the YouTube's gonna get majority of it, I guess.
Mm.
Sorry, YouTube. If you guys want the full episode, come listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you.
Absolutely. I'm gonna rip a piece of this bitch off.
Yeah, I was wanting to try that too. So again, I might cut this whole thing out so we can just snack real quick.
Patreon.
Patreon. Check us out.
The amount of effort.
Oh my
put in
God.
Is it good? Hold on. Where's not good?
Costco. This is from the bakery at Costco.
The cause? Jesus Christ.
They made this with love.
I'd go to Costco next time. We all go to Costco.
Call it Riff Roscoe.
Riff Ranch at the Costco. Hell yeah, dude.
Holy
Is it better
shit.
than Sam's Club?
It's the same thing. Jude.
And a kiddo? He said. Uh-oh. That's what I was worried about, was him fucking... I wanted to get this bite in before I had to rip my headphones off and jump up and grab the camera. Is that my girlfriend and shit?
I think so, yeah. You know she listens to the podcast.
Hey, girlfriend.
Come in.
Slowly.
What's up, player? You see our setup?
Hold on, let me grab the mic.
Oh yeah, you can take. That's not recording anymore. You can take it out down. We don't need that right in front of the door.
I was really trying to come in here because Jude said he wanted to come say hey, but then he ran off. Should I just finish?
No, we're in the middle of recording.
Nice.
The camera just died, so we're not using that anymore.
Gotcha.
We should turn it like this. So we
Oh,
can see.
so fucking smart.
We can fucking see it.
Hello. How are you? You like my setup?
I'm dying.
You are?
You love it. I love you.
Everyone's been-
Okay. Well, guys, welcome back to the Riff Ranch. We took a little break there. I'm going to talk about
Gaycation.
that. We took a gaycation. My mom wants me to talk about like real stuff on here. She's not a big fan of the fake shit that we've been talking, because she has the Patreon, so she listened to all the creepypasta episodes. She wasn't a big fan of it, I guess. But so as far as some real stuff goes, like kind of relating to this analog horror shit. But these stories are real, everybody. These stories are real, Mom.
These stories are are real because they're analog. You know how to spell analog? Anal OG.
Anal OG.
That's
Anyway,
how you spell analog.
the first one that I wanted to tell was this crazy story. Basically, this guy... the guy starts... so the guy's, like, fucking posting on Reddit, and he's basically talking about how he was put into the witness protection program, and, like, people weren't supposed to... People didn't know his past life, basically, before he was put into witness protection. And he just, like, felt like he needed to get it out and talk to someone about it. So he's posting it on Reddit under, like, a burner account. It was, like, fucking Reddit user 7295437, like, some shit like that, right? Just, like, Reddit user and a bunch of numbers. And he was basically saying that the reason he got put into witness protection is because his parents put him into a summer camp when he was like in middle school or something like that, and it ended up being a cult. He got there, and the first thing they did was like they said, we need
strip you down. Let me see if you're circumcised. If you're not circumcised, you gotta go home.
You gotta go home. I'm sorry, that's how it
I will
works.
not have an uncut dick in my camp.
Oh shit, that's funny. But yeah, so he's like, basically they're like, we need to take your phone. It's okay, you can get it back in 6 weeks. And the whole idea that he was saying in the Reddit post, I guess, is that it takes about 6 weeks to indoctrinate anybody into the cult. So that's why they allowed you to have your phone after 6 weeks, because after 6 weeks you're pretty much indoctrinated.
Yeah. You're like, well, it ain't that bad if I don't have foreskin.
It ain't that bad if I don't have foreskin. Come on now.
The old guy shoot it off.
The old guy, he chewed it off with his teeth. He didn't use scissors or anything.
Moil. I'm just playing.
Anyway, but no, they start doing like weird shit. Like they're having dinner and they're like, we're all gonna pray to Katha, or like, I don't know, some weird name of their god. Oh, and they kept using terms like our gods and like
/gods.
Yeah, like our gods and stuff like that. And at first he was like, he thought they were being inclusive of like people who like, you know, of different religions and stuff. But like he would later realize like that it's some weird crazy cult religion that believes in multiple gods, which is why they kept saying like, we're praying to our gods and stuff like that. And then basically he was like, this is so weird. I can't remember. I wish I could remember the person who posted this on YouTube, because I heard this like during COVID. I was listening to a bunch of like crazy Reddit stories like this, and I would link it in the description if I could find this video again though. But yeah, basically it goes on and like more weird stuff starts happening, and he's basically like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And so in the middle of the night, he sneaks into like the camp master's office or whatever, where they have all of the kids' bags, which I feel like should have been a huge red flag or whatever. They basically, I forgot, that was a big part of the story. They took the kids' bags, so these kids didn't have clothes, and they put them in like robes or jumpsuits or something. Like that's what they had to wear all day, every day. It was like they gave them different robes, and they're like, you can't.
You do uniformity.
Yeah, uniformity.
Honestly,
that's a huge.
If you like get into the psychological aspect of cults themselves, it's insane. I think it's really interesting, but it's insane how almost voluntarily a lot of people will do something like
especially
that.
People who are like looking for a purpose in life, like the people who are like,
it's not even that. Sometimes they're just like, all right, I'm going with the flow because everybody else is doing it, you know, and everyone's just doing it because everyone else is doing it, and next thing you know, you're in
a cult
or something, you know.
You're fucking kids.
I don't understand. Like, I feel like I could see it if I were to be in that scenario, but it's also like, do you think you would notice? You know what I'm saying?
100%. If they were having me
wear, what if it really gets you? Like, what if it's like something that's not even like, oh well, like to our gods or whatever. Like, what if it's like some hippie commune shit where you're just like, you
take my bags and my phone and tell me to wear robes or a jumpsuit or whatever it was, I'm gonna notice. Like that immediately. I would have noticed immediately. I wouldn't have waited until supper when they said our gods. I would have noticed immediately.
I knew something was weird when they said our gods and not the ones that.
Yeah, and like in the video that I was watching, that was like the indicator for him, where like he realized something was weird when they started saying
He
our
said
gods.
He was a kid though, right? So
He's in like middle school. I would have realized in middle school. Like,
I don't know. I feel like I would have just gone with because you're told that adults.
Nah, dude. I would have realized in middle school.
I think I would have.
I knew enough.
My bags probably wouldn't have been a super red flag for me. I would just be like.
No, taking my bags.
Well, I thought we were supposed to swim and stuff.
Taking my bags and taking my phone would have been a big indicator for me. I would have been like, I guess this is just summer camp. But when they would have had me put a jumpsuit or some robes on, that would have been like a huge red flag for me. And then I probably would have stayed until dinner. And then like when they started saying, let's pray to Asha and like our gods and shit, like that, I would have been gone the first night. Like I would have been trying to get to my bag that first night. Wouldn't have made it a week or however long he ended up staying. I don't remember what he says in the video. But anyway, so like the story goes on. He gets to his phone in the camp master's office. And he texts his dad and tells him everything that's been going on. He's like, you need to come get me now. And his dad gets to get him the next morning. And the counselors are trying to stop him from taking his son or whatever. His son basically goes into the camp master's office and fucking just takes his bag. Like he doesn't even try to sneak in there like he did the night before. He just straight up goes in there and takes his bag and like fucking runs to his dad's car. And they're trying to like pull him out of the car and shit. And his dad basically like pushes them off his son, like, closes the door with his son in it, and fucking he drives off. And it's like a whole thing.
Guns.
And I was like, huh?
That's where you bring that pew-pew with you.
That's where you bring that pew-pew with you.
I'm not a big gun guy, but if my kid's like, yo, this is a creepy fucking cult, dude. They keep asking me about my foreskin and all of that.
They keep asking me about my foreskin.
They said I'm uncut, so I'm clean, okay? That's not a good thing, okay? I thought it was weird when they took away the bags. The pray to our gods thing was definitely a red flag, but I keep bringing up my fucking foreskin, Dad. This is some weird shit you've sent me to, and I need you to go now.
Everything else wasn't.
Bring the gun.
Everything else wasn't a red flag, but the fact that they keep bringing up your foreskin. That's not even a red flag. That's just like, you should know better.
Yeah, camp counselors keep asking you about your dick. You're like, this is weird.
That's not even like cult shit. That's like pedophile shit. But anyway, so then it's like a whole thing. He stops thinking. He tries not to think about it for the rest of the summer. The summer ends, and he's walking outside to go to the bus. The school year started or whatever. And he starts hearing his name being called. And basically, he starts seeing camp counselors from the camp, and they've followed him to his house. And they're trying to get him to come back to the camp. And they're saying things like, oh, your dad said it's okay, stuff like this. And they're trying to fucking take him, basically. And it ends up being a whole thing where, like, he has to run home. And he lets his dad know. And they get, like, a restraining order against the people or whatever. And it ends up becoming such a thing that, like, they end up coming back to his neighbor with a restraining order. They don't give a fuck. They end up getting, like, relocated. They end up relocating. So now that I'm thinking about it, I said that he was in like witness protection or something. I don't think he was in witness protection now that I'm thinking about it. I think in the story he ends up saying that his family just moves to a different place and they just change their name, I think is what ends up happening. But yeah, and then he says that like they haven't heard from him since because they moved and changed their name and all that shit. And then like people are like commenting on this Reddit post and it ends up being a whole thing and they're like talking back and forth about this story. And then he's like active on this account and like talking to people like, yeah, it was like a traumatic event, this and that, fucking talking about it. And then his account goes silent, like responding to people for a couple days. And then it comes back and it's like, none of this is true. This didn't really happen. Like, this isn't how this went down. And like, it's weird shit starts showing up on his account. And then it ends up, he ends up deleting everything and just like the last thing he posts on his account is like, I have since been contacted with the church or whatever and all this different shit. And like clearly someone else has taken his account and like someone got to him because he posted this whole Reddit thing. And it was like fucking wild. It was definitely,
that's scary.
It's scary. Fucking, and I don't know, part of me, when I was listening to this, part of me felt like, holy shit, did someone from the church really get a hold of him? Or was he just trying to scare people and basically deleted everything and fucking posted what he posted? Like, because I could see it being fake and like people, him posting something like that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, it's a scary. I don't feel like someone from a stupid ass cult. A lot of people from cults are fucking redneck hicks, and they're not smart enough to track you through an IP address through Reddit and stuff like that. Most cults don't have computers because they want their followers to be fucking stupid. They don't want you to know about the outside world.
It pays to be a leader, but it doesn't. Depending on where you're at, it might not suck being a follower. You gotta follow rules.
You gotta follow rules. I couldn't have the internet though. I can't beat my dick whenever I want. Like, so I gotta fuck kids if I get one.
So you fuck kids or you got a computer? What do you want? Pick one. Which do you think is better? That's fucked up.
That is funny.
But no, like, I don't know. You telling me you wouldn't want to start a cult right now? I'm not making a fucking kids joke. That's not at all.
I'd start a commune with you. I'd get a nice slice of property.
That's worse because it's communism. Maybe communism is a cult. We should all join.
I'd like to buy a little slice of Riff Ranch with you and like fucking live together. Have our fucking riff on the ranch. And actually riff on the ranch. And we could have a little barn that's like, we could make a barn that's our studio kind of thing. Yeah. And like, we could plant a tree between our houses and do episodes of Under Our Bigotry. Under Our Bigotry.
That grows fruits that are homophobic.
It grows gay fruits. What's the gayest fruit you can think of? Dragon fruit?
Yo, I was actually thinking dragon fruit, but
what's gayer?
Think about it, a kiwi's pretty queer.
A kiwi is like...
If I were to think like...
A kiwi is straight because it's like some fuzzy balls. If it was gay, it would be shaved balls. Joking about
deja vu is right here right now. Earlier when we were setting up, I was like, yo, deja vu. I just had deja vu again.
You just had deja vu again?
It's like the dream I had last night kind of shit.
You had this dream last night?
Yeah, kind of. Except I had to fly out of state to do this or something like that. It was like I wasn't at home. I was somewhere else.
I wish we had to fly out of state for that. I wish we had money to fly out of state to do this.
I know, right? Back up a little bit. What were we just talking about?
We're talking about Reddit shit. I had another...
The bit that was... Oh, well, okay, yeah. Okay, so now...
I had another Reddit story. We're at 120. We restarted at 110, though. I was going to go... Probably another 10 minutes or so.
I do have one little thing I want to
Go ahead.
Heard of. That's not really creepy, per se, but... Well, first off, I want to say that sounds... I think these Reddit things, a lot of them might be true stories, but a lot of them I think are just like.
So the next one I was about to. Yeah, I think some of them.
It's just meant for that, and then they'll like delete it because they know it's been archived already, or shit like that.
I think the idea that these could be real is so scary. Yeah. Like because that's
absolutely is, but that's why they add that extra effect of like it just going dark, and like the shit like that. So, but like I'll sit there, I'll read something, and I'm like, damn. That's fucking crazy, and I'm like, no, it can't be real. Like that's I was chalking up to it can't be real just to make my brain feel better.
So that's probably the scariest one I think of the three that I had to tell. But the other two aren't as scary to me, but they are real. Like there's real parts of the story that like But anyway, go ahead and
you had no name to the camp or anything like that.
Do what? Oh no. Actually, no, he might have said it in the video. I could be wrong. I don't want to say he doesn't say that. I don't have the name to the camp. But if I can find that video again, I'll fucking post it. I'll link it in the description or whatever.
Send that shit to me, for real.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's a really interesting story.
So, years ago, there was this thing. I believe it was posted on Craigslist. I believe it was a Craigslist ad. But it was... it's not necessarily a Reddit thing, but it might have been posted on Reddit. Or one of those things. And this dude was talking about building a time machine.
Yeah.
And he was put it out on the local newspaper. Like he paid to have that shit done. Anyway, so, and like it goes as it's going through. It talks about like the different times he's gone places, why he's stuck here. this, that, and the third. Like, he explains how the time machine works, which, well, we should look it up again. I just thought about it as we were talking about that whole thing. But, and apparently, he had a correspondence with somebody, and all that is out there, and then it just goes, like, dark. Dude disappears. So, they actually made a movie about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they made a movie about it, and it's got the guy from Creep. You ever seen the movie Creep?
Yeah.
It's got that dude, the creepy dude.
Yeah.
It's got him and the chick who plays April in Parks and Rec. I can't think of her name right now.
Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Love Aubrey
like
Plaza.
supposed to be her. She's the one who finds him, sees the ad in the newspaper, goes and finds him, and then and like at the end of it, they make it out to be like at the end he goes about and goes to the future or whatever. But I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, the creator of that whole thing was like, yeah, no, it was just like a fucking story on the internet. It was just a story, and like it's like an internet urban legend thing.
Yeah, folklore type
like,
shit. Yeah, that's interesting.
You should look that up. I believe it's called it's not some burn after reading. Not no shit like that. Damn it! I wish I could remember the name of that fucking movie.
I'm gonna kind of fly. Well, I'm gonna try and wrap it up here soon, but I'm gonna kind of fly through these stories I wanted to tell. So the first one is like this guy. This was another one of those Reddit stories, and this one is real. That last one could have been fake. I don't think. So I think some of the last one was fake. I think the story he was telling, where like he was kind of put into a cult, was real, and I think that ending might have been fake, where like he deleted everything and like kind of made it seem like one of the camp counselors got a hold of his account or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that part of the story was fake, but I think like the first half where he was like talking about what happened at the camp, I think that was real. But this story, completely real. This guy's on Reddit. He's looking for advice. Basically, him and his wife have 3 kids. They're good friends with the neighbors next door. It's like this couple. And, they're good friends or whatever. And I forget how the whole story goes exactly, but basically his wife accuses him of cheating with the neighbor's wife. Yeah. And she's like, you're a piece of shit. You've been cheating on da. And so he's asking for advice on Reddit. He's trying to figure out how to fix his marriage, all this shit. He's like, I didn't cheat with the neighbor's wife. She's been accusing me of it. Like, just all this shit. And they start going to a therapist, and like their relationship starts getting better. Yeah. That they kind of basically stop being friends with the neighbors or whatever. And I think what ends up happening is the neighbor's wife ends up hitting him up, even though they're not really cool with the neighbors anymore. Like they kind of stop being friends with the neighbors as much because of that whole thing happening. Basically, his wife accuses him of cheating with the neighbor again, and she calls him up like while I think he's like driving home from work or something. She calls him up and she's basically like, "You cheated on me. You're cheating with the neighbor. This and that." And she starts like threatening her life and starts calling him a piece of shit. And then she starts threatening their kid's life. And there's this whole thing. And he was like talking about it on this Reddit post. And then she's like she's gonna threaten she's threatening the kids and all this. And everyone's like commenting on this Reddit post like, what happened next? What happened with this? Like, what's going on? Are you okay? There was a lot of people. He was getting a lot of support on the Reddit, so like there were a lot of people following his story and kind of helping him and giving him advice about his wife. And so a lot of people are worried and they're asking, what's going on. And then somebody who lived in his area or something, I guess, basically on the Reddit post posted a video of like a news report, and it was basically like saying a woman kills her 3 children and then kills herself. And it was like this whole thing. It was a real news report. And then almost a year after this incident, he basically replies to the Reddit posts and everything. And he's like, thank you everyone for all the support. This was me, basically. And says like that was the whole news report that had been posted and everything that went around. That was about him and his wife and all that shit. And basically, his wife did kill the children and kill herself, and it was a traumatic incident. And he had been going to therapy for like a year over it, and he's like seeing somebody else now, and he's in a new relationship and he's doing better. But it's just like a fucking crazy Reddit story, and like there's so much. I kind of like flew through it there, but like when you're listening to the story, there's like so much build up to like everything that's going on, and it's like it's a really wild story.
Damn, bro, she fucking gets the fucking children.
She got the children and then got herself. Fucking,
fucked.
it is fucked. It's a really sad story. And then, so the last one I had, it's not as sad, but this is another real story from Reddit. This guy was trying to start a cult and basically was like, not really brainwashing people. So like I kind of started telling you this story, but like didn't really get into the end of it, I guess. But basically this guy was like getting money. He like broke his back or something. I can't remember exactly what happened, but he was getting money from the government and was like not having to work. And he started paying for people's like Reddit premium accounts and shit. And was basically just like throwing so much money at people's like Reddit premiums, and like that's how he was like indoctrinating them into the cult. Basically, is like he was buying them things and being nice to them, and in return he's like, oh, you can come live with me and you can stay with me and this and that, and fucking it was like a Reddit cult basically. And then he would like go around town where he lived, and he would get homeless people, and he'd be like, oh, you can come shower and eat, like I have people that live with me and we all live in like a commune society, whatever. And it's like, but he had crazy ideas. Like he believed something like if you took acid and DMT, it like, it's the god drug and it could like turn you into a god. And he believed that like his mind had like ascended above other people and shit like that. And like, I think he was taking like, I don't know, I think he was mixing a lot of like I think he was like taking acid and DMT and ayahuasca and all this shit like all at the same time kind of. And fucking
Nice.
Nice. Fucking, but yeah, he was doing all this crazy shit, and basically what ends up happening is like, I don't remember exactly why, but like his money stops coming in. I don't remember if he's like not making as much money because something happens with the government, or if they stop paying him entirely. I want to say it was like less money or something like that. But he basically isn't able to pay for like all of these Reddit users anymore, and they leave. Like, they're not fucking brainwashed in his fucking cult. They were only around him because he was buying them shit all the time. And, like, basically lost his fucking cult. And he, like, killed himself or some shit like that. But, like, it was a crazy fucking... And this guy also... So, I talked about the whole drug thing and, like, him... The god drug and all that shit. But he also, like, would tell people, like, you need to go outside and stare at the sun. Like... The government tells you shouldn't stare at the sun, but in reality, that's like how you open up your third eye and shit like that. And like you need to stare at the sun for like several hours a day and all sorts of crazy shit. And he was like saying pigeons aren't real. Like pigeons are a concept made up by the government to fucking spy on people. And like was saying all sorts of crazy shit.
Some shit that you'd come up with if you mix a large list of hallucinogens together at one time.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of a lot, but fucking.
Yeah, no, this guy was on one for real. But anyway, I think that was the Riff Ranch podcast today, guys. We recorded for an hour and a half. I think a lot of this is gonna get cut because we got caught up in the middle of it. But I think this was a good podcast, you know.
Yeah, dude. I think it was great. Oh, thank you guys. Y'all thought it was great too. Can I get a round of applause from the audience, please?
I think maybe we take a little breaky break and come back and shoot a New Year's episode. What do you think?
Eat a little bit of food, have a little bit of booze, and talk about what we want for our next life.
Yeah, for our next life, next year on the podcast. All right, thank you guys so much.
Bye, Dad.